using my new Suzume tool on a starter replacement. I'm working on a snowmobile right now. We've got a bad starter. I just need to take this bracket off, and I'm going to show you why I appreciate these tools. It's because we have this very nice 180 degree swiveling head. So I just need an 8mm. We're going to put it on here, and you can see I can straighten it or I can bend it. So once I get this thing broke loose, we can go back and forth. If I needed to, I can go like this as well in a hard to reach spot. So I'm super impressed with the 72 teeth. It works very nicely. I'm very impressed with this tool set. Something I'm definitely going to be using for many years, I can tell you that much. I'm going to go ahead and get this bracket off of this starter. And if only the hardware that holds this thing in place wasn't Allen wrenches, I would be for sure using this box wrench set. Our hardware over to the new starter. There we go. Slide on our washers. Okay, we're getting this bracket put back in place like so. Put our washers on. There we go. Tighten these nuts back on. Super nice that this kit does have an 8mm. I can appreciate that for sure. Makes it a lot easier to navigate working with this tool. And then all I do, you don't toggle these, you just literally flip it over. And we're tightening. Get this secured on this side. And the nice thing about the 72 teeth is, you know, when you're first starting a nut or a bolt, if it's extremely loose on the threads, the teeth on this does not require a lot of force in back drag, which is really nice to be able to secure this. Takes no effort. I don't have to hold the nut or the bolt nearly as much as I feel like I do on some of the other wrenches I've had in the past. Okay, we've got our bracket back on the starter. Should be relatively easy. We just have to put an Allen. We got 3 screws here, one through here, one through here, and the third through the back of the starter. Just gonna make sure I got my cables out of the way. We're gonna squeak this down in place. Okay, there we go. And this will hopefully give us all of that cranking, beautiful cranking power we need to fire up this old Skidoo 500. And then we're gonna fish through. I also kind of cheated getting the upper bolt out because technically I can't get an Allen wrench on this upper starter bolt. I just used a channel locks, vice grips to break this loose, and then was able to just spin it out. Otherwise I'd have to pull the flywheel off on the back of the clutch. It is possible for sure to replace the starter on this sled without getting too invasive. Just gonna make sure I fully understand where the bolt hole is. Move this cable out of the way a little bit. Get a hand underneath the clutch. Make sure everything's aligned. Pretty sure I caught the threads. Yep, and we're threading in. Fabulous. That's snug. Goodness sakes. Okay, there we go. We got 2 wires. All right, I'm gonna have to make a modification here, I can see, to the way 12-volt wire goes to my terminal. So I'm gonna put a ring terminal on this. I've got enough wire where I can bend it and fold it around. Obviously I can put the main power on here, that won't be a problem. So I'm gonna get that tossed on, but I do have to make an adjustment. They're going to tighten down the main power coming over to the starter here. Get this torqued up. Nice and tight. Get that covered up. This here is the wire that the old starter had, just a press-on terminal. We're gonna go ahead and cut that off, put on a ring terminal, and that'll make this be able to be connected. So we're just gonna pull back some of the sleeving here, cut as close to the tip of this as possible. There we go. And now we're gonna strip some of this wire. There we go. Let's just make sure we get it cleaned up with our stripper here. Cleaned off some of the corrosion that was on the wire. Gonna use my crimper. We're putting on ring terminal. I don't have any heat shrink terminals with me, unfortunately. Now, I'm thinking this is gonna come up and go down. So we're gonna go like this, where they got the flat end facing out. Get this pushed through as far as possible, nice and tight, good. Give it a good crimp. Dialed. We got our new terminal on. We're gonna go ahead and loosen up this here screw. Hopefully in a way where I cannot drop it down in the engine bay. That would be no fun. Okay, good. And then I was thinking I would have it come up and go down instead of coming down and being next to that other side terminal. So we're gonna go like this. So I'm gonna put the screw through. We're gonna fold this up over, get this lined up, and then I'm gonna grab my screwdriver again. Yep, that will do it. Okay, push our looming back on. There we have it. And our starter is installed. We are good to go ahead and crank this thing and see if she fires up. All right, new starter's installed. Not sure the condition of the battery on this, but this is kind of the moment of truth. I am not going to start it because it's been a while since it's run and it's probably going to smoke me out of the shop. So I'm just going to see if I can crank it over, if it engages the way it should. That's a win. Last thing we needed to do, replace the rear cargo rack on this sled. I got a new grab bar to go ahead and spin these bolts out and get this thing mounted. There was a little bit of a tweak to the rear of the sled here from it getting hit, so I'm not surprised that we're going to be fighting with this a little bit to get this down in place and then push this down. This might need to get hammered in actually, I'm not sure yet. So, all right, one bolt started. We'll pull this down, see if I can line up and get this other bolt started. Looks like I will be able to. That might be it. Got those started. Pull this down. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to take a rubber mallet, hit this in, because we did take some damage to the back of the sled when all this got bent in. Use a little bit of wood here. That lined up. Yeah. And then when we tighten her up, it'll hopefully pull everything the way it should. Nice and straight. I didn't have any leftover 2x4s, so a little bit of firewood. We'll be dialed. Grab our wrench. Pretty sure it's a 13. Okay. Okay, it is a 13. We determined that. So look how nice this is. I got the swivel head. I can move it back and forth wherever I want. We're going to get all these started. Definitely putting a lot of leverage on these wrenches. I've already scuffed them up. Running the pivot, because when I'm swinging this, I've already kind of scratched it. That's to be expected with the tools, I suppose. All right, that's a lot of leverage on this long wrench. Doesn't feel like there's any flexing to the steel. I'll definitely let you guys know. I'll update my review on the Suzume Tools if I end up breaking a wrench, but keeping in mind we've got more pivot points on this wrench than a standard wrench would have, because we've got that flexibility. So your pin, where this is swiveling, definitely is going to take on more abuse. If you're going to break something, you're going to break your hinge point, in my opinion, before you end up breaking somewhere in the wrench itself. They feel nice and strong. We've got our rear bumper on, and this sled is ready to be sent out on the snow. Big fan of the Suzume Tools. I appreciate you watching. Definitely grab a set. They're worth it.